Welcome to another episode of Classic Credits. Today we have another game based off a property that's getting the movie treatment this summer. And this time it's G.I. Joe. The first movie was, so-so at best. I much prefer the new animated movie that they released about the same time, G.I. Joe Resolute. The new movie is looking good, though. I'm cautiously optimistic about it. In 1992, there was no doubt about it, though. Rack up another one for Konami. I won't even bother going into the Konami's long list of hits. The G.I. Joe arcade game was absolutely awesome. The game was released widely as a 4-player game, but there were 2-player models of the machine made as well. The story is very simple. You take on the role of a member of G.I. Joe, a special forces unit whose job it is to keep the world safe from evil. This usually means one thing: Cobra is up to no good. You can pick one of 4 different Joes: Duke, Snake Eyes, Scarlet, and Roadblock. Each Joe is equal in power and endurance, so it's really just a personal preference as to which one that you want to use, but come on, you're going to use Snake Eyes, admit it. The action takes place from behind your characters, and all the action comes towards you. And I mean a lot of action. You can only move left or right. All of the joystick motions moves your gun cursor. Fans of the cartoons or comics will really appreciate the love that Konami threw into this game. They tried to include seemingly as much as they possibly could. Major Cobra members that will show up are Metalhead,
Don't get me mad!
the Crimson Twins Tomax and Xamot,
It's now or never!
Major Blood,
Your days are numbered!
Baroness,
I can't wait to see you.
Destro,
You won't get up after this one.
and Cobra Commander.
Long live Cobra, the greatest!
Cobra has also brought their hardware and lackeys too. You'll see Hiss tanks, Hurricanes, Condors, Fang 2s, Razorbacks, then there are the Vipers, Alley Vipers, Annihilators, Laser Vipers, Incinerators, Bat 2s, Hydra Vipers, and plenty of other Cobra baddies. Did I say that this game has action? Yes, I believe I did. There are parts of this game where there's so much going on, it almost feels like what they call a bullet hell shooter. It doesn't ever get quite to that level, but you do have to get in a pretty much mindless reactionary zone to avoid everything that's coming at you. Your Joe has 2 main forms of attack. You have your basic gun, which shoots once for every tap of the button. The good thing that this game is loaded with rapid fire power-ups that give you the ability to have an auto fire. Your other attack is rockets. The explosions, even 20 years later, are quite satisfying. They're big, they look cool, and there are more of them than a Michael Bay movie. Speaking of sounds, the sound effects in this game are fantastic. All of them sound like they come straight out of the cartoon. The music gets your blood pumping. There's quite a bit of digitized speech. You get a lot of Yo-Joes and Cobras, and the bosses generally have some trash talk for you. One thing that Konami slipped up on in the audio department, though, is this.
Yo, Joe!
Snake Eyes was mute, but the game is otherwise so awesome, I can forgive a little bit. Graphically, this game looks fantastic for being made in 1992. Scaling like this was something that you didn't see very much. You certainly didn't see an entire game based around it. G.I. Joe is pretty unique. There are not very many games like it to compare it to. To me, there are only 2 games that even come close. One of these is the inner base levels of another Konami classic from 1987, Contra. To me, though, G.I. Joe is a spiritual successor to a game that Konami had nothing to do with. Cabal. Cabal was a rather unique title made in 1988 by TAD Corporation. TAD Corporation was founded by former Data East employees. Those crazy Data East guys again. As you can see, it has a very similar play style, and had Cabal been made several years later, it probably would have looked something like G.I. Joe. Classic? Definitely. Unfortunately, there was never a home version for this game. There were several G.I. Joe console games, but none of them were based on this particular action-packed shooter. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Classic Credits. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for sticking with it as the show continues to get refined. If you like the show, please subscribe, share on your Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Help get the word out. Thanks again, and see you next time, where we will try and cover some games that you may have forgotten or maybe not even heard about.